This is an incredible story. Scott Walker, the Republican governor of Wisconsin, is starting to lead a political life that would be essentially as satirical as, I don't know, a segment from The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is irritated because it turned out he was on stage heaping praise on a registered sex offender during his State of the State address last week. He said, obviously, it's frustrating, according to the Associated Press. Here's the backstory. So Scott Walker promised to create 250,000 jobs in Wisconsin. Instead, he destroyed labor rights and the negotiation rights of so many teachers and others in the state of Wisconsin. And then his state led the country in jobs lost towards the end of 2013. Remember, he promised to create 250,000 jobs. So he gives his State of the State speech and he says, hey, you know what? Here's a guy who got a job and I'm going to tell his story. I'm going to bring him up and just really praise him. And he promoted his record of job creation by pointing to 32-year-old Chris Barber, who recently got a new job as a welder. He had him come up on stage with his welding gloves, maybe his mask, and he waved to the audience and Scott Walker was clapping. And it turns out that the reason that Barber was unemployed in the first place, Lewis, is because he's a registered sex offender with 2 felonies and 3 drunk driving arrests to his name, offenses rather. I don't know if he was arrested on all 3. According to the AP, Walker said he assumed Barber's employer, Brillian, which is a Wisconsin-based Arians company, had conducted a background check, but a spokeswoman for the company said, no, we never conducted a background check. Can you imagine, Lewis? You promise 250,000 new jobs, you lose jobs, and to prove how great you are at creating jobs, and even in spite of all these teachers that are in worse positions to negotiate for their own benefits, you bring a sex offender and 3-time drunk driver with 2 felonies on stage to brag. This is amazing. You could make a reality show out of Scott Walker's political follies.
You really could, but rarely are they this pronounced. This is great. He was very embarrassed about this, and I love seeing him get caught in something like this. Everything else he can just kind of deny and say, no, it worked. No, it wasn't what you think.
Right.
There's no getting around this.
There's no getting around a picture of you clapping for a sex offender on stage, front and center, during your State of the State address. I'm thinking back to when Fox News tried to create a satire show, kind of like The Daily Show, but conservative. It was called the Half-Hour News Hour. It failed really hard and very, very quickly. Just a show following Scott Walker around would be funnier and more satirical than Fox's Half-Hour News Hour without having to write anything, just actual reporting on the stuff Scott Walker does.
Or you could just watch Fox and Friends, right?
Right. Fox and Friends is kind of a satire news show. You're actually right.